because this is the kind of thing that STEM folks who dislike this and see the harm it could do, or it will do, as they may have well observed, the harm it will do, should be getting together and doing. So, some of you may have seen this in the news. And as I've always said, whatever's going on at a university is important in that if it's a university, universities are the training ground for the next generation of scientists. So there's a bit of a theme going on right now that talking about what's going on with universities. This popped up in the Boston Globe, pushing back against indoctrination at UMass Boston. This is obviously a bit of an opinion piece like the New York Times one, but it does link to the open letter in question with providing things here. So we'll have a look at this. And look, I will show you the online open letter also so that you can make your own judgments with regards to the complaints of the staff, because they actually did include something in the open letter which is helpful for evaluating the claims of the staff. Anyway, here's something you don't see every day. More than 50 faculty members at the University of Massachusetts Boston are openly criticizing a campaign to bind their institution into an ideology of racial and social engineering far removed from the time-honored role of higher education. The professor's criticism takes the form of an online letter posted in response to proposed new mission and vision statements for the university. They reflect what faculty members regard as a hyperfixation on the part of the campus's leadership. UMass Boston recently installed a new chancellor and new provost, with casting everything the university does, as some of them put it, in terms of power dynamics and hidden racism. That is postmodernist philosophy right there. It is never about the truth. It is about power, and that is goes against the telos of science, the ultimate purpose of science, the pursuit of the truth with respect to the questions that are asked there, the ultimate purpose of science. So, yeah, I can understand some of the consternation on that one. UMass Boston already has a mission statement. Adopted in 2010, it admirably lays out the university's purpose. The first sentence identifies Boston as a public research university with a dynamic culture of teaching and learning and a special commitment to urban and global engagement. It celebrates the school's vibrant multicultural educational environment and broadly diverse campus community. And it commits UMass Boston to creating new knowledge while serving the public good of our city, our commonwealth, our nation, and our world. Following that statement is a longer discussion of the university's values. They include creativity and discovery, diversity and inclusion, and economic and cultural development. Emphasized again and again, however, are three values in particular: teaching, research, and service, quintessential objectives for the only public research university in New England's largest city. I did not know that. Here, I'm actually going to make sure I pull up what the old mission statement is so we can compare it between the two in a second. Here, but a concise summary of what UMass Boston stands for. The 2010 statement is close to ideal. By contrast, what the administration suggests replacing it with reeks of woke indoctrination. Colloquial woke here. The proposed new mission statement mentions research and teaching only in passing. They begin instead by proclaiming that UMass Boston must become, quote, an anti-racist health promoting institution that supports diverse forms of knowledge production and is dedicated to education rooted in equity, environmental sustainability, and social and racial justice. They reiterate that the university's purpose is to be anti-racist and to promote climate, environmental, and racial justice. Let's see. The draft vision statement concludes with a vow to hold everyone associated with the university accountable for ensuring these views drive all decision-making at UMass Boston, including decisions about research, the allocation of funds, and the development of campus policies. Alarm bells went off when these draft statements were released. In the College of Science and Mathematics especially, several instructors were dismayed by the statement's heavy dose of political and activist code language, with the unmistakable implication that at UMass Boston, the pursuit of knowledge and exchange of ideas is to be subordinated to a rigid left-wing agenda. I'm going to adjust that and say maybe postmodernist agenda. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on the topic there. Late last month, a group of professors in STEM fields, engineering, biology, mathematics, chemistry, physics, and computer science, released a letter expressing their extensive concerns about the tone and direction of the proposed new statements. So I'm not going to get into that because we're going to read it in a second. They are objecting not because of their political views, but because they are teachers. Political activism becomes a central goal of the university. Yeah, okay, hold on. There was an era not so long ago when spirited debate over questions of university policy and politics was an integral part of higher education. Today, when expressing the wrong opinion on a controversial social issue has led to the investigation, censure, suspension, or firing of hundreds of faculty members around the country. Really? Ah, that's a College Fix article. 74% of professors target. Okay. Hold it. Hundreds? Okay, I'm gonna have to fact check that later. Note to self. All the more reason, then, to applaud the UMass instructors who have put their names to an open letter challenging the university's misbegotten but ideological fashion statement. That was a... It just occurred to me that was a slip that I did not think would happen. An ideological fashion statement might be in the new quote of the day right there from these folks. Sorry, that's not quite what I was intending to say, but an ideological fashion statement. What the administration proposes, the objecting faculty brings serious damage to the demographically and ideologically diverse group of students we serve, particularly those who see education as a means to rise socioeconomically. Professor's letter continues to collect signatures from UMass departments. It is a tribute to the intellectual integrity of which American higher education remains capable. Perhaps it is also a reason to hope that the woke juggernaut rolling through academia may not be unstoppable. So let us go then to that open letter itself from the College of Science and Mathematics at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. To the university community. We are faculty of the College of Science and Mathematics, and we are writing to you to express our extensive concerns about the first public draft of the mission and vision statement that was recently presented to the faculty. See drafts below. For comparison, see the existing statements. Here they are. Mission. Okay. That we'll have there. I will put this, of course, in the links in the description for you, of course. Of course. Hang on. Go back. We believe this document is deeply, not the existing ones, the new ones, deeply flawed in content, direction, and representation. Moreover, we believe that the absence of significant changes to this draft would bring serious damage to the College of Science and Mathematics, to the reputation of UMass Boston as a beacon of knowledge and education, and to the demographically and ideologically diverse group of students we serve, particularly those who see education as a means to rise socioeconomically. We believe that the mission and values trample on the fundamental role of the university to facilitate the creation, curation, and dissemination of knowledge. To elaborate, we believe that the main goals of the university are to empower the pursuit of knowledge, to cultivate lifelong learning, to foster the exchange of ideas, to encourage critical thinking, to unequivocally support free inquiry, and to instill respect for a diversity of ideas and viewpoints. Thank you. God, what a wonderful statement right there. I don't entirely agree because part of the free exchange of ideas and what have you is the pursuit of the truth long term, so I would have added that, but altogether, that is a very nice statement to make on the purpose of a university. Pardon bumping the microphone. Under no circumstances can political or ideological activism be the primary purpose of a public university. This is not to say students, faculty, and staff cannot be activists. Quite the contrary, individual people are the agents of social change, and as such, they should be encouraged to organize and fight for a better society. Moreover, the public university can play an active role in educating students on pressing issues of social injustice, as well as effective methods of activism. However, in this regard, the role of the university is to empower people to take action themselves, not to coerce students, faculty, and institutional units to do so. There's a difference there. There is a very important difference to recognize in that, you can give people the tools to do these things. You should not be forcing them to do these things or taking a stand in a political issue yourself. It is important to emphasize that the fundamental role of public university can neither be political nor ideological activism. I don't like how that's phrased, but I get the point. In part, this is due to the illegality of compelled speech in public institutions and our legally binding commitment to academic freedom as outlined in the so-called Red Book on academic personnel policy. I'm going to presume that's something internal to UMass Boston. Continuing. Additionally, ideological activism cannot be the central goal of the university because it at times will conflict with education and research. The search for truth can never be subjugated to social or ideological beliefs. Exactly. And there will be questions to challenge in all the time. When there's articles that are put forward, there are questions that may well truly challenge. You maybe ask questions that challenge it, and that's okay. That's the way it should be. But the university should not be engaging in political or ideological activism. That's not the goal here, because you're going to have times where the research being done is not in agreement with the political winds and mores of the time, and it still needs to be done within the moral reasons, within moral limits, of course, because there are certain things that, of course, science being a process by which we answer questions, you cannot say it has a moral compass. So it doesn't give anyone a moral compass, as I've said many times. So there is that, but you got to make sure that folks who are doing work can continue to do so. We raise these points about the purpose of a public university because we believe the current draft's mission and vision statements radically depart from these fundamental tenets and instead promote a chilling environment for the pursuit of the truth. This is most evident in the vision statement, which discusses diversity, equity, expansive notions of excellence, wellness, an ethic of care, plural identities, climate justice, environmental justice, and then states that we hold ourselves and each other accountable to ensure these values drive all decision-making in research, pedagogical innovations, resource allocation, and development of policies and practices. That is, these values, which have very distinct ideological interpretations, must drive the direction of every researcher and department on campus. As a community of scholars, we will hold people accountable when their research does not actively promote these values. And they provide some examples here. If your research on quantum computing is not perceived as promoting climate, environmental, or racial justice, will you be held accountable and your resources reallocated? If your department makes the data-informed decision to support the use of standardized tests as a measurement of student learning and preparation, but the campus views this as being opposed to wellness, an ethic of care, equity, or an expansive notion of excellence, will your department be held accountable and its resources reallocated? These are fair questions to ask. These are very fair questions to ask when you're getting into some of these things and these dangerous things. And that last sentence here, and we'll get to the full statement in a second, is scary. Is scary. What does that mean? Because a lot of those kinds of things about climate justice and equity and diversity and what have you, they can be very ideologically driven. And so what ideology are you tying it to? And moreover, if the ideology changes, are you flipping it on a dime so that others end up in trouble later when whomever in power who has a different version of that it ends up in power there? That's a whole other problem in itself. It affects everybody badly. Another point, no less important, is that although UMass Boston is a research university, the word research is only mentioned briefly towards the end of the draft of the mission statement. Such diminutive support for knowledge creation seems to strongly indicate its reduced value on this campus. Although these may not be messages the mission and vision statements intended to send, they are nevertheless the messages that will be received by current and future faculty and students. Yeah, okay, I could see that. The other thing I could see there is that's not the message that's received, but we'll find out. So there may be some students who don't get that. Let's put it that way. But the other question I was going to say is some students will view that as good, and some students will view that as bad. There's probably some students right now faculty, and staff that hate the mission statement as it currently is because it doesn't do those things. The message is that at UMass Boston, academic freedom and the search for empirical truth will be subjugated to a narrow ideological viewpoint which has a radically divergent agenda. Importantly, this message will actively deter prospective faculty and students from even considering UMass Boston as a place of study or research. This, in turn, will deprive the campus of the greater Boston community of world-class public scholarship in disciplines represented in the College of Science and Mathematics. For these reasons and these many reasons and others, we believe that the current mission and vision statement drafts are deeply concerning. However, we also believe that this outcome was likely accidental, that it stemmed from the fact that the College of Science and Mathematics has one representative on the committee, despite being the second largest college on campus. As such, we call on the committee to significantly revise the current statements with guidance from faculty selected by the College of Science and Mathematics. We are keenly aware of the distinct difference between being selected from and selected by the College of Science and Mathematics. Ooh, very nice, very nice, very nice. I will second giving them the benefit of the doubt in that this may have been accidental. But we don't know that for sure, to be honest, because we don't know the mindset of whomever was drafting the statement here. But I do applaud the College of Sciences, because this is the kind of thing that STEM folks who dislike this and see the harm it could do, or it will do, as they may have well observed the harm it will do, should be getting together and doing these kinds of things, and doing it very successfully, putting out the fact that this probably isn't a good idea. We don't approve of this. We don't agree. And they have certainly had the clout to do it as the second largest college on campus. It's quite likely many professors in the College of Science and Mathematics bring in a tremendous amount of research grants to the university. So there's a certain thing there that the higher leadership is going to be paying attention, because this is a significant chunk of the faculty that brings in a large proportion of the grant funding to the university. So it may very well be that they don't want it, and if you're going to annoy the heck out of them, they can take jobs elsewhere and take their research dollars with them. Or in most cases, they can take the research dollars with them. I don't think it's entirely the case all the time. There may be contractual things that don't allow it. That's a whole other thing. But, any future research, if they leave because they're aggravated with this, well, you've shot the university in the foot. Okay. Let's see. Mission. Okay. I don't want to go down there. As an academic community of global and local citizens, we are... okay, so this is the mission statement draft. We are committed to becoming an anti-racist and health-promoting... What the heck does that mean? That is one I have not seen with the postmodernist stuff, the colloquial wokeness. Health-promoting institution? I have not seen that honors and uplifts the cultural wealth of our students. We intend to engage reciprocally in equitable practices and partnerships with the communities we serve. We support various and diverse forms of knowledge production that enrich the lives of all communities, especially those historically undervalued and underserved. We are a public urban university dedicated to teaching, learning, and research rooted in equity, environmental sustainability, social and racial justice, innovation, and expansive notions of excellence. You notice there's nothing in there about pursuit of the truth and dissemination of knowledge? Dissemination, curation, creation of knowledge? None of that's in there? Oof. Yeah, I wouldn't be supporting this statement as is either. Because if they don't, these professors obviously don't look at this as the purpose of the university, so... We aspire, okay, vision statement draft. We aspire to become an anti-racist and health-promoting public research institution where diversity, equity, shared governance, and expansive notion... Okay, I want definitions for all of these words, because, as the professors themselves said, these could be very ideologically driven, but I want definitions for all of them. Wellness and an ethic of care are embedded throughout our campus culture and all policies and practices. What is that? What is that even? This is one where I'd be like, I can't support this just because I don't know what the hell you mean with that one. We invest in a resource-rich learning environment to support the development and success of students of plural identities from diverse socioeconomic, racial, ethnic, and cultural backgrounds. Do you notice something interesting? Plural identities. Students of plural identities. And then they go on to list this. So I think they are continuing to refer to the very fragmented thing here that comes from the multiple identities in postmodernist woke sense, whereby, your identity is this race, your identities are split up by socioeconomic, race, ethnic, culture, whatever, rather than viewing yourself as the whole person. That kind of fragmentation is actually very dehumanizing, and, it doesn't help with ideological diversity either, because it's quite disgusting to watch some of the stereotypes that are sometimes assigned to these things because you're supposedly in those groups of identities, but that's a whole other thing. Climate, environmental, and racial justice align with sustainable economic and planning decisions with local and global effects. Community engaged scholarship, service, and reciprocity are embedded in university practices that promote economic, social, and cultural well being of the communities we serve. We hold ourselves and each other accountable to ensure these values drive all decision making, research, pedagogical information, resource allocation, and the development of policies and practices. This is scary. This is scary. Let me tell you one thing right now. If this goes through, I'm not going to go. If I'm offered a position at UMass Boston, I won't go there because of this mission and vision statement. It's like I would not go there if I was offered a position. If that becomes the mission and vision statement at UMass Boston, I will not go anywhere near that campus. Nope, not a chance in hell would I go anywhere near working for that university. Either faculty or staff or anywhere in between, if these two things are what the mission and vision of the University of Boston, University of Massachusetts Boston become. All right, I will link all this in the description for you as always, but that's it for now. Let me know what you think. Comment on the video. If you like the video, hit the like button on the way out the door. Share the video, subscribe to the channel, all that lovely good jazz, and don't forget we got the locals link down there for lots of fun things going on there on locals. The Thursday study review is tomorrow night, and that will be on what it means to be science literate in a digital world. It was an interesting article voted on by my locals members. So if you want to see it, that will be Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. Until next time, I'm Adrian, and I hope you all stay curious.